My name is Richard Mwesigwa, and I'm the founder, Friends of Batwa International. I started working with the Batwa in 2013. By then, I was working with another charity organization, which was basically faith-based, and I was working as a project coordinator. When I first came here, I found that the Batwa had a lot of problems that were not being taken care of. Well, there were a number of players trying to address the problems that they were facing the Batwa, but there was still a lot of gaps that needed to be fixed, and that is how I ended up getting caught up. That is how my attention ended up getting caught up, and I thought about what I can add into or on to what others were doing by then. The Batwa are generally located in places neighboring the Mwindi and Mugahinga conservation areas. These were their homes before conservation pressure took the toll in 1991. Before 1991, there were other conservation advocacies and noises being made about the endangered mountain gorillas. By then, mountain gorillas had reduced somewhere actually below 400 members in the wild. And when many conservation agencies came together, they made it known to everyone that mountain gorillas were actually at the verge of extinction. So around 1991, these organizations and the government of Uganda reached the conclusion that the Bwindi and Mugahinga be gazetted as as protected areas. Yes, it was done, but came at a disadvantage that the Batwa would be stopped from accessing the forest, which was their home for a number of years, and where they derived their nourishment for all the time they existed. They coexisted actually with the mountain gorillas. So after then, tourism started taking shape. As of now, I can say that Bwindi and Mugahinga are the places that bring in more tourists. Actually, they contribute to like 80% of the tourists and the tourism revenue coming in into the country. So there is a lot of tourism in this place, and it is continuing to grow, which makes it actually very, very hard for the indigenous persons or the local persons to keep living in this place, because the cost of living and the cost of property like land and the other services continue to increase as versus the incomes of the people living around the protected areas. The lives of the Batwa were actually, I may say, these people were in, we are having a lot of issues to deal with. There was still a lot of things that were happening, like discrimination and marginalization, whereby someone would actually not eat from the same plate with a Batwa person, and others were using them for cheap labor and cheating them like horribly badly, and others were targeting Batwa women as because of the belief that sleeping with a Batwa woman would actually cure someone of HIV. There are a number of challenges for sure, and the major challenge was always and has always been finances, or like funding. When you start something like this, where you're looking at building houses for 12 families, and also the families are hungry, and you need to give them access to food and medical care and whatsoever, and education. So funding has always been a challenge from the start, but also the remoteness of these places and the connection, and not being able to connect, not being able to move from one place to another. I think you saw how the roads are really messed up. So the challenges have been many, ranging from funding, connection, the place being remote, and also not having people who are ready to volunteer and work with a starting organization without being paid. That is why you can see we still have a small team of people, but we trust that we are going to grow into a big team, and we are doing very many things as a small team.
What is the government doing about the Batwa tribe community?
The government of Uganda is generally a capitalist government. We can say it is a capitalist economy that does not take into account everyone in the country. So they are just looking at constructing roads, building schools, building, like the overall development of the country. So the government has put up many initiatives to help the less privileged, like free education in primary school, like access to medical care, which is free. But when you go to these hospitals or medical centers, then the services are actually very, very much wanting. So to the extent that people don't want to go there. Yes, the things are there. I mean, the hospital is there or the school is there, but everyone is going to a private school. Everyone is going to a private hospital. So these services remain at the disposal of the very, very poor persons. But we have a challenge whereby the Batwa actually live a life where they feel like they are not welcome in these places. But children start at a certain level when they are a little lower, which is somewhere below the level where their counterparts from the rest of the tribes start from. So when they go to school, they are actually left out somehow. They are left behind somehow. So which means if as they keep going to school, they feel like they are lost somewhere. Some statistics showing that 95 to 99% of Batwa children drop out of school before reaching primary secondary. So you end up having all the children, loitering in the compound. So the government has tried to do something, but these programs of the government do not cater for the special needs of the children of the Batwa people.
So what is the children's life like when they drop out?
When the children drop out of school, they end up in the communities where they are left with a few options, like one, babysitting other children, and two, getting married at a very, very early stage, having a very, very early age. Like for example, some of the children are getting married at 13 and 14, and they become fathers and mothers, and then they're also left with waiting to be energetic enough so they can work in the fields and work for a daily wage. So they are left with options of doing casual labor that is available for them in the communities where they live.
And in terms of family finances, how difficult is the life here for Batwa community?
Every Batwa community has a difficulty in earning money or earning income. Average earning rate per day of a Batwa family is less than $1 or maybe zero. I may say zero. Some of these families, you'll understand that they may take maybe a month when they have not earned $1. They can't, that means they will not have soap or salt or something. They only have go somewhere, work, get maybe some sweet potatoes, maybe some green bananas, come and cook them, boil them in water and eat that. So income is a very big challenge. One of the reasons why these people actually don't have income is because they don't have any reasonable land rights. For example, when you look at this community, this property was purchased by Friends of Batwa, and then all these houses were put there by Friends of Batwa. But I'm happy that the small spaces that were left in between the houses have now been planted, and then they are raising their own bananas, they are raising their own yams, they are raising their own, they are growing their own sugar canes and cassava and everything. So meaning that they are living in abject poverty. They don't have any income because they don't have access to reasonable pieces of land where they can produce food and whatsoever. But also, when they have been able to get a chance and get something to do for a payment, they have in most of the cases been cheated and paid a lower wage compared to the rest of the people they are actually working with.
How is the environment affecting the health of the tribe? And what challenges are they facing in terms of medical care access?
Health-wise or access to medical care is way much limited, is very, very much limited. I can give you an example. Like in the last 2 months, we lost two babies to preventable illnesses like pneumonia, like maybe malaria in children, or maybe malnutrition or things like that. Two children in 2 months. This means this actually confirms the research that was carried out and confirmed by one of the leading universities in the country, that 40% of bachelor children die before the age of 5. And we are witnessing this. One of them died at 7 months, and another one died maybe at around 4 months. These are babies who would actually be growing. Yes, we say that some people will say that the part of producing many children or whatsoever, but the average family size is actually less than 4, because most of the children who are born die before clocking 5 years of age. You see, there is what we call getting used to a situation. You still get hurt, but you know how to get out of this. When you lose the first person in your family, it hurts deeper to the bone marrow or to the heart or something. But as you continue losing your relatives, then it kind of becomes part of life. You'll witness that they may lose a child now. This is now midday, and then they will bury the child somewhere at 3 p.m. and then life will continue. There is a time somewhere around 2016 when a certain family in the other side of the forest lost a baby. The baby died like at 7 in the morning. Before we reached by like 10, they were done and everyone was in normal business, apart from the mother. Like for example, this lady Swaz who left a daughter recently, 3 days ago. She's still mourning the child alone in the house. The rest of the people are moving on like normally. So the pain ends up with the mom alone. The rest of the people have seen it all. But the mom has that special connection with the baby. So she goes through mourning like for the whole week, and then life goes on because she's actually looking forward to losing another baby. It may be in the next month or in the next 2 months. Death here is like something like the rising of the sun and the going down of the same. So they will always see it, and they have gotten used to something like that. Though pain may be felt, but they have seen it many times, and you know, life goes on.
What keeps the hope?
We are looking at a situation whereby we need to do something that we can do once and fix a problem once and for all. As friends of Batwa, through our partner agencies, we have managed to set up houses, and now children can sleep comfortably in the night. And actually, that is one of the reasons we have not had rampant deaths happening over the last 2 years. We started building these houses in November of 2021, and as of today, we are done with building 12 houses, and all the 12 families on this village. And I'm so thankful of Faith Abraze and also the team and Marcella family. These guys have donated 6 straight houses, and they have even supported the construction of the church. We'll be constructing a church for these people across there. We are so thankful for them. They are doing great, and we are looking at what else they will be willing to do. With parents' support, we can have the child getting a better education where they can go in the morning, take classes, come back in the evening. So with the support from Faith Abraze, again, we have purchased the land there where we are envisioning to set up a school that these children will always attend that school and come back and stay in the houses that they were blessed with.
In terms of the life in the community, what the problems the community itself face? Like, are there any argues? Are there any misunderstandings? What kind of problems they're facing within the community?
We have a local proverb that says, as long as you live together, you can never fail to have issues. But these guys have a strong bond, and that is why they are always happy to call themselves the Batwa. They don't, you can just say Batwa and they all come in. They believe they have faced a lot of troubles together that nobody can melt or separate them from each other. They look at themselves as one solid thing, and their unity is the strongest I have seen before.
In terms of education, what kind of education children are receiving at the moment?
Majorly, I may conclusively say that there is no child on this community who is going to school. I have been watching these children since 2020, and the thing was made worse when COVID hit and the lockdown came. By 7 years old, about a child is still thinking like a 3-year-old. Their exposure is limited to an empty house with one saucepan, one plate, and maybe one broken jerrycan. That is all they know in their head. So their heads are empty. But when they reach the school, they start at things like, how many plates do you have at home? But now these guys don't have a plate at home. They can't answer something like, so their level where they start from and where other children start from is different. They end up dropping out of school by default because they can't catch up with the rest of the children. And more so, they have faced a lot of discrimination for sure, whereby even the teachers who are poorly trained and from the tribes that actually the battle look at as the people who fought their living in the forest and many things like that, are the same teachers who are teaching these children. When a battle child makes a mistake, they will attach that to being a mutua. Look at this one, this battle child, can't you do what others are doing? So they are the words they use against them, the treatment they get in case they have they make a mistake is also contributes to their loss of the drive to be in school. This is a very, very big problem with the battle communities. It continues to become actually a big problem whereby even when they acquire something, they are lured into writing agreements or signing agreements that they cannot understand. Even if they are written in their local language, they can't read it. So this person will read it in another way when it is actually written in another way. They end up appending their signature, they put a thumbprint, and then their property is taken, or their goat is taken, or their households are taken, or things like that. And maybe sometimes the government is passing passing an announcement that there is a program coming, it is good in this one that way. Then they bring a paper, so they put their signature. They don't know what they are actually signing for. They are on. It is only interpreted for them. We are coming up with an initiative whereby we want to empower them not only academically but also in other aspects of life, like can they withstand the pressure, can they take up a job and be creative, beyond just having a qualification or a piece of paper, and can they have another skill to back up their education.
Why is it important to help Batwa tribe?
Helping the Batwa should be a concern of everyone, because the problems they face are not of their own making. They were evicted from the forest not because the forest was too small, or not because they were burning the forest or something, but they were evicted from the forest because of the need, number one, to conserve the mountain gorilla, and number two, to conserve some of the last remaining equatorial forests like Bwindi and Mugayinga and the rest of the Virunga Massif. There are other Batwa people who were evicted in volcanoes in Virunga National Park in the DRC. These people were put in the current situation by the conservation pressures because of the need to conserve the mountain gorilla and the rainforest. So the mountain gorillas are being seen by everyone around the world. So the Batwa gave us a chance, or gave everyone a chance. The eviction of the Batwa left chances for people to come and see mountain gorillas and also to preserve that species of animals. I trust is a very good gesture, preserving those animals, and then someone else, maybe 1,000 or 1,000,000 years to come, may be able to see the mountain gorilla. And also, those equatorial forests do not only help the Batwa, they helped them for food and shelter and things like that. But now they are giving all of us oxygen. So I think helping the Batwa now is like feeling guilty or wanting to be part of the team that has to solve the mess or sort the mess that was created by the fact that we wanted to preserve the mountain gorilla and preserve the last remaining pockets of rainforests. When oxygen comes from that forest, it actually goes into everyone's nose somewhere else. And also, when carbon dioxide is taken from the atmosphere and absorbed by that forest, it is to the benefit of every one of us. So it should be our responsibility to try to take care of the people who are put in a very disadvantaged position because of the need to do something positive for humanity. When I first came to Village Care, for example, and when I first came to Bwindi, the very first battle I met were actually like not the usual human beings. But over the years, I've seen a battle transform from the very dirty to some people you can eat with on a plate. We started with giving out posho and a mud house, but now we have seen a number of houses being built and a community that is actually growing food. So what we started has shown some positive progress. So the drive comes from the achievements we have seen in a very, very short time. And then we believe that if we push on for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, we should be able to see a very unique and well-developed community that anyone can take pride in. And everyone who has been part of this should be happy to see that the very first seed you sowed has actually yielded a lot of harvest and a lot of progress is being made on the ground.